Bong Joon Ho's Hierarchy, Parasite, and Snowpiercer. The beauty of cinema is to frankly show the actual weight of reality. Parasite is not only the movie that director Bong zoomed up the social hierarchy. Starting from his very first film to now The Parasite, his film is always colored with inequality. But why? Why does hierarchy fascinate the whole heart of director Bong? Director Bong Joon Ho's Parasite finally won the Oscar 2020, not only as the best foreign language film, but also the best picture, director, and writing. Parasite wins 4 Oscars and makes the Oscar history. Parasite jumped over the barrier of 1 inch of subtitle in every Western culture. In fact, the barrier to foreign language movies is not only on the caption, but also on the cultural differences. Sometimes when watching the movie from other cultures, we feel the bizarre and awkwardness caused by all kinds of differences. But Parasite broke out those differences and make us fall in love with him. Since Parasite wins over a lot of honorable Western movie awards, many genres and media start to feature his movie and analyze why Bong Joon Ho's films are that special. All of them says that it's because the topic he zoomed up, the social hierarchy. Since the issue is so universal and general, Bong's movie can shatter those cultural barriers. NPR commented that The Parasite, A Tale of Rich Park's Family and Poor Kim's Family is an international sensation, partly because the universal theme like the conflict between the haves and the have-nots. New York Times says that the black comedy Parasite is a tale of 2 Southern Korean families, the wealthy Parks and the poor Kims, mirroring the deepening inequality in Asia's 4th largest economy. Then, let's go deeper into the Parasite itself. Every single detail of Parasite implies the social hierarchy. The movie is full of metaphors, but among them, the spatial differences are fundamental and the best. In one sentence, Parasite puts basement structure in structural inequality. The movie starts in the half-basement apartment of Kim's family, with windows that barely peer above the ground. While the Kim's house is firmly below the ground, it still wants to believe it's above the ground. Even if the room is too damp, soggy, and full of moles, thin sunlight shines through that tiny window. The severe gap between both extremes such as light and dark, black and white, poor and rich put us in the corner of panic. This polarized feeling let us feel the horror. We already felt the severe gap inside the Kim's half-basement. But director Bong used the verticality for magnifying this gap. He used the endless staircases between Park's luxury home and the Kim's semi-basement. After Kim's family finished their work, they come out of the wealthy Park's house and unceasingly run down from the stairs to the dark and damp semi-basement. Even if they fabricate their social status and they are parasitic on rich people, the only place they can go back is that dirty, dark basement. Here's a great scene. A massive rainstorm creates a moment of chaos when the Parks return home, and the Kims eventually find their semi-basement apartment underwater of sewage. It is a fascinating juxtaposition in status and highlights how desperate the situation is for the struggling family. And the next day, the rich Park's wife says that today's sky is really clean and spotless because of the heavy rain of yesterday. One party is struggling with the flows, and the other party is appreciating the clean sky, because the Park's house on the highland is securely built, and there is no threat of flooding. This gap between haves and have-nots let us gut twisting. Bong Joon Ho used the rain as important visual device, but this kind of spatial inequality not only appears in Parasite. Parasite just repeatedly shows obsession with the hierarchy. Just as Bong called Snowpiercer, which is his film about the class revolution set in the dystopia, as his hallway movie, he called Parasite as his stairway movie. Shortly, Snowpiercer shows the horizontal hierarchy and the Parasite shows the vertical hierarchy. In Snowpiercer, our Captain America, Chris Evans, who is the leader of the lowest class tail section, endlessly leads a revolution against the elite on the front of the train. Start from the lowest tail compartment to the highest front compartment. Just imagine the ranked compartment of the airplane. They are piercing from the economy class, business, and finally into the first class. The landscape spatial inequality outrightly shows the hierarchy. Adding to that, Bong Joon Ho's very first black comedy, Barkingdogsneverbite, also in the same context. A college professor who is irritated by the sound of the barking dogs in his apartment building, so he resorts to abusing and kidnapping the dog in the basement of the building. This storyline also implies the vertical hierarchy. Interestingly, there is also horizontality in the Parasite, the line. The rich Park says that, "I hate the people who cross the line," and he looked down the people who are not in the same economical status. The line expressed metaphorically and figuratively. Bong Joon Ho put the vertical lines to divide the whole screen. On one side, there is a rich people, and the other side, there is poor people. And when the poor people trying to climb up to the higher ranks, they express this as crossing the line. And next, Parasite put a distinct olfactory setting. Even the smell is different by the rank. The wealthy Parks himself and his son realized a similarity between the poor Parks family because of the body odor. No matter how they cleaned themselves and decorated themselves, they cannot hide their social rank. Even the smell is ranked. The pungent scent of the basement and endless stare down to the half basement is the symbol of ranked society. This kind of social hierarchy twists our deepest guts. And further, this brutality is getting even severer when the housekeeper's family, who is parasitic on Rich Park's house in the basement, appears. At this reversal point, I fall in love with Bong Joon Ho's movie, Parasite. Until now, almost everyone is addicted to Disney, which is a fairy tale non-reality. The kind, poor Snow White live well and prosperous, but rich, bad queen must be punished. Unintentionally, we used to think that wealthy people are bad and poor people are kind. It's just a framing and the logic of black and white. Those kind of dichotomy cannot solve the problem, and also that is not right. Parasite shows us that if the poor people are really kind and if the rich people are really bad and evil, the poor semi-basement Kim's family and the pauper basement dwellers can unite with each other and fight against the rich people, but they did not. They battled against each other for being better parasitic on the rich people. By conquering the Park's house, Kim's family seems to crawl up to the higher social rank, but this hope becomes frustrated since the interference of the lower classes, the housekeeper's family, the real basement dwellers. Parasite well dealt with the class immobilization not caused by rich people, but caused by the poor people themselves. That is the point. The social rank is never in proportion with the degree of kindness, as sometimes it is, but not always. We shouldn't do hasty generalization. Parasite shattered this naive framing, which is 2x2 matrix, rich and poor, kind and bad. At that moment, Parasite stops playing behind the screen and becomes a reality. Then, why did Bong Joon Ho obsessed with the social hierarchy? Let's hear from the director himself. We Korean became a wealthy country very fast, and people who weren't able to board that fast train toward wealth, they felt lost, and they felt a sense of inferiority. The economy is not just the numbers, he says. It also carries a lot of emotion as well. And he also says that the richest group who are at the very top of the hierarchy and the poorest group who are at the lowest do never appears on TV is also the reality. And at this point, the movie has the strength which can make them meet with each other. It means that social rank is a setting which can frankly reveal our most profound emotion and desire. And also, that hierarchy let us feel uncomfortable, gut twisting. Bong Joon Ho put a sense of vision and smell for allowing the audience to encounter that cruel reality. So, the New York Times wrapped Bong Joon Ho's view of the world in this way. It's Bong Joon Ho's dystopia, we just live in it. If you want to know why he's biting Parasite is a film of the year, look at the director's body of the work, a deeply human vision of rotten humanity. A much remarked on feature of human existence at the moment is how dystopian it feels, as some of the most extreme and alarming fantasies of fiction reappear as newsfeed banalities. Fires and hurricanes feel less like symbols than signals, evidence of disaster that is already here rather than omens of impending catastrophe. Monsters are walking among us. Corruption is normal. Trust outside of the narrow circle of friends or kin is unthinkable. Whether we know it or not, it's Bong's word we are living it, literally. This message is on the critic's notebook of A.O. Scott. I love his analysis and writing style. I highly recommend you to read the whole article. I will put a link under this video. Director Bong gave us a hint of his obsession with the social hierarchy in the interview with the film comment. My experience that the commentary, the sense of exploitation and degradation of lower classes by the upper class that does not care and feed on exploitation and degradation was inextricable from the excitement of the action sequence and the claustrophobia of the entire film. And he also pointed out that the cruel hierarchy is not the fake, but reality. Since the interview was about the movie Snowpiercer, he gave an example of that sort of thing. In Bangladesh, when they decommission large ships and break them out for parts, a full-grown man cannot fit inside, so they use small kids who are under 7 and they work for very little money. It is very dangerous. If you watch National Geographic, you see this. So in fact, it is not the science fiction. It's something that actually happening, which is really quite sad. Here's the final remark. Bong Joon Ho wanted to zoom off the cruel but truth of reality because this is the aesthetic of the movie. There are people who are fighting hard to change society. I like those people, and I always rooting for them. But making the audience feel something naked and raw is one of the greatest power of cinema. Director Bong Joon Ho said on The Vulture, I'm not making a commentary or propaganda here. It is not about telling you how to change the world or how you should act because something is bad, but rather showing you the terrible, explosive weight of reality. That is what I believe is the beauty of cinema. Thank you so much for watching my video, and please subscribe to my channel and show your thumbs up. And I will hop around the world and bring lots of thousands of funny stories to you. Let's hop around together. Thank you, and see you again!